As summer begins to fade, in contrast the temperatures start to rise as we approach the crucial final events of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Championship. It's time for the pivotal penultimate round. Welcome to the John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally. To achieve victory in any sport, you must have full focus and determination. As the drivers await the opening tests here, no doubt there are a few nerves too as our championship contenders prepare for battle. As well as the Irish Tarmac Championship, the British Rally Championship also forms part of the Ulster. And there, a champion could be crowned this weekend. Big names fill the lineup: Elfyn Evans, Alistair Fisher, Keith Cronin, to name but a few. You can be certain that they will be giving it everything on the demanding stages here in their bid for glory.
Well, here we are in the very wet walled city of Derry for the penultimate round of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Rally Championship, the John Mulholland Ulster Rally. This has been such a tightly contested championship all year, and at this penultimate round there are just 6 points separating the top 5. It's going to be a finishers rally, and who will take the lead after this weekend?
As Breed says, 6 points separate the top 5 drivers in the championship, which is testament to the strong competition we've seen all year. Elfyn Evans, seeded number 1, is hoping for British Rally Championship success. Joint Irish Tarmac leader Alistair Fisher is fully focused on what he has to do this weekend.
It's very close, between Sam, Keith, even Josh, myself, and Stephen Wright's not far away either, so 2 rounds left. Ulster's a very important rally. Cork's points and a half, so we have to try and put down a bit of a marker here.
Fisher has a strategy in his sights. He shares the championship lead with Sam Moffat, who has his own thoughts on the plan for the weekend ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a finishers rally. At the same time, you don't want to let anyone just get away at that and sit back. So, it's going to be going as hard as you can for as long as you can and hope you can make the finish. You don't want anyone getting away there, and kind of hope you can get a good position at the end of it.
Luckily we had a good run in Donegal, so we're able to close the gap a bit, but there's 2 tough rallies left to go. A good result here will put us in a good position going to Cork, but we do need a result here, first or second realistically.
The thoughts there of our big top 3 as they get ready to do their talking on the stages. With just 2 rounds remaining, they are all aware that a mistake here could end their quest for the coveted championship title. One man who knows what it's like to lift the trophy at the end of the season is 2013 Irish Tarmac champion Gary Jennings. This weekend he switches code from a WRC car to an R5 in the shape of the Mitsubishi Mirage.
Well, dramatic changes as we can see in the Jennings camp for this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's been happening this last couple of months, but finally we've got a deal together to try out one of these R5 cars, and yeah, it's great to get running a different car, a Mitsubishi.
Try it out you have already with the day's testing. How did that go?
Yeah, very, very good. Dramatic changes. Got the car very, very good on dry tarmac, but we haven't sampled the rain yet, so it'll be a learning curve today, but yeah, we're really up for it.
Well, Gary should get a feel of what the car is like on the wet as the rain continues to fall. The clerk of the course has confirmed the rally could run under wet rules and the drivers are free to use wet weather tyres. A relief given the current conditions. Let's take a look at where the crews will be heading then on day 1 of competition. South of host city Derry is where we'll find the action. Holly Hill, the longest test of the day, kicks us off, followed by the 8 miles of Mary Gray. The shortest test, Butterlope, concludes the day. All stages are run twice. As the first stage kicked off, the rain had begun to subside. Patches of blue sky and a stiff breeze meant the tarmac was starting to dry out, offering inconsistent grip to the crews. Alistair Fisher and Gordon Noble certainly laid down their intent over the opening 3 tests. They set the fastest time on the first and second stage, but clipped a bank, damaging their suspension on the third. They still led, however, by 5.2 seconds. BRC Championship hopeful Elvin Evans was second to Fisher and not quite able to match his times, but he was the leading BRC crew, which was the most important thing for him on such a crucial weekend. Irish tarmac title hopefuls Keith Cronin and Mikey Galvin lay in third after 3 stages. After describing the conditions as treacherous, they took no serious risks on the first runs and are bedding themselves in. Lying in fourth were Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick, who confidently set great pace across the first 3. Best start of the season so far for the pair. We watched him win the National in Donegal at the last round, and now he's back in his Skoda R5 and dealing with the changeable conditions well. David Bogey and James O'Reilly lie in 5th. Joint championship leaders Sam Moffat and Carl Atkinson were not on the same pace as their championship rivals and found themselves back in 6th overall. There's still a huge way to go at this event yet, though. Getting off to a bumpy start with Swedish crew Fredrik Olin and Morten Abrahamsson. They picked up a puncture on stage 2 and took it easy through 3. Josh Moffat and John Rowan were looking good. They're not looking so good. Back in 8th after 3 stages, Breed finds out why the Fiesta is looking a little second-hand.
Josh, it's clear you've had a mishap already.
Yeah, stage 2 there, just slippy braking down into a 3 left, and we locked up and went into a wall sideways, but it was spun us around on the road and different things, but we got going again. The tracking's a bit out in the car, so thankfully we're still here anyway.
Well, that sounds pretty dramatic and seems it was a lucky escape for the boys. Welsh crew Tom Cave and James Morgan picked up a puncture on stage 2 when they were lying 5th overall. They dropped to 9th, massively frustrating for the battling pair. The tiger-striped Skoda Super 2000 of Marty McCormack and Dave Moynihan didn't quite have the right tyres on its paws for the first loop of stages. They rounded out the top 10 and were more than up for the challenge of the second pass. Here you see them tackle stage 3, the short test of Butterlope.
Into 3 right, half long, water outside, flat 2 left, over the junction and left over crest, right and gear crest goes 4 left plus. Into 3 right plus, 40, flat right over crest, 40 gear, right over back, bump dip, into crest, 40, short, 3 right, 60, caution 80, a late square left tightens, late square left tightens. Good man, you have it, where you go, stop. 100.
Desi Henry and Liam Moynihan had a difficult start with an off on stage 1, which they recovered from, but lost over a minute. They're back in 11th as we await the midpoint service break.
Minus in this 5, 60 to in, 6 left, 100, 4 left after entrance, 100, 4 left after the entrance, and continues for 60 times to minus, stopping 40, turn square left, stopping 40, turn square left, small gravel, easy. Crest 4 right, crest medium 4 right.
Also having a tough time was Stephen Wright and Arthur Kieran's. The turbo pipe decided it wasn't keen to stay in place, and despite them fixing it after stage 1, it came off again on stage 2. A further electrical problem would compound their challenge. After a season of no problems, they all came in one morning for Wright. Joe McGonigal and 2015 champion co-driver Kieran Geeney had a tough start also. They opted for full wet tyres on drying stages and struggled for grip. For Aaron McHale and Enda Sherry, it was an early retirement after they put their Skoda Super 2000 on its roof on stage 2. Let's turn our attention to the National now. Jennings and Kennedy were adapting to their new steed, the Mitsubishi R5, and were leading the National section of the rally. There were a few teething issues, which of course are to be expected.
5 left over crest here, 40, flat right, 60, 2 right continues, into 2 right, into 3 right, in past the gates, 100, turn square right now, mud, 16, and you go, that's it, 60 flat left.
Second to Jennings were Alan Carmichael and Ivor Lamont, just 6 seconds behind after stage 3. In their Subaru Impreza, Niall Devine and Damien Duffin were third in class. First up at the Mark II escorts were Ryan Loughran and James McCarville, fourth in the National, closely followed by Chris Armstrong and Chris Melly, who were 5 seconds adrift of Loughran. Rounding out the top 6 in the National are Camillus Bradley and Crawford Henderson, a further 10 seconds back from Armstrong. Wesley Patterson and Johnny Baird were within the top 10 after the opening 3 stages, but had got held up along the way.
So second stage we had a couple of overshoots, and then we got stopped in the middle of the road by Aaron McHale's accident, so a poor run on stage 2, clean run through there, so back to service.
After the first 3 tough technical tests, Eugene Megan and Sarah Whelan were sitting just outside the national top 10. Many drivers were finding it tough. John Bonner and Leon Jordan steered their escorts safely through the opening 3. Leading the modified championship coming into Ulster is Davy Armstrong. He tells Breed it's not a walk in the park here.
Well, the Ulster Rally is bound to be a favoured one for you, Davy.
Yeah, definitely is. I've done it a long number of years now. Great rally, and new venue up here, so it's all new territory, I think, for everybody. So, but I'm struggling a wee bit this weekend, in fairness, and tyre choices and stuff. Very slippy out there, like.
Ross Marshall is only 4 points behind Armstrong in the championship standings and is almost 30 seconds behind him after 3 stages.
Just your second visit to the Ulster Rally event. Has it been kind to you so far?
Yeah, it's been good. We're finding it difficult in these stages. They're very, very slippy, so the grip levels vary a lot, so it's just knowing when to push and knowing when to back off, but we're happy enough with the pace and it's looking good for where we are in the championship just now.
Time now to reflect on the first stages with the international top 3.
Alistair, so many went out this morning with a wrong tyre choice. What about your team?
No, we were on the right tyres there, so we're happy enough. Just dropped a little bit in there at Alvin. We just got a small problem with the back left of the car, just sitting a little bit out of line, but we can get it fixed now in service.
A tough morning for us. I think we did a mistake with the tyres on the second one after seeing how dry the first one was. We crossed with some slicks and we really lost out. We've kept that in here. It's a bit drier but still wet all the way through. So it might be better in here, but not a fantastic morning.
No problems. We're kind of where we need to be, so see how it goes. With a bit of intercom trouble in there now, I couldn't hear him for the first mile or so, but other than that, everything else is okay.
So here's the confirmation of the results after 3 challenging stages. As you can see, it's tight at the top in both the international and the national.
Alistair Fisher has proven on the early stages of the Ulster Rally that he means business, as he has secured that lead. But his fellow competitors are also in hot pursuit of that coveted position. Join us after the break for a repeat of the opening stages.
Welcome back to day 1 of the John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally, the penultimate round of the Clonakilty Black Pudding Irish Tarmac Championship. We've completed 3 stages so far, tough tests that have challenged the crews, and it's Alistair Fisher who leads going into the afternoon stages. All eyes to the skies to predict what could happen. It's great to see the 2003 World Rally Champion co-driver Phil Mills and 1996 British Rally Champion Gwyndaf Evans on hand to support Gwyndaf's son, Elvin. Elvin and co-driver Craig Parry stepped up the pace this afternoon on the second pass of the stages. They move now into the lead on stage 4, Holly Hill. The Citroën DS3 R5 of Keith Cronin and Mikey Galvin was well worked this afternoon. A half spin didn't put them off pace, and they're now within 4.5 seconds of the lead, up to second overall. The second DGM DS3 of Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick were now into third overall. David Bogey was setting some competitive times and was knocking on the door of third overall. A strong afternoon for the Scotsman. Former rally leader Alistair Fisher had picked up a puncture on Holly Hill, which plummeted him down the leaderboard. He lost almost 50 seconds and fell to 5th. This spin compounded matters on stage 5. Disappointment for the man who had been in charge in Ulster. Frederick Olin recovered from earlier puncture problems, but was still not happy with his ultimate pace. And back on the pace we're used to seeing was Sam Moffat, second quickest on the second run of Holly Hill.
Crest, 5 left, B. You have 60 after to shiny, 4 left, plus, in. 80. Crest and hug, 6 right. Dip, 60. Hold, 6 right over long crest, 6 left. 60. 6 left again, 100 red up here, shiny, 5 right, only 30 slot square left. Oh.
Bouncing back from their morning woes were Desi Henry and Liam Moynihan. They were now in 8th overall, but unhappy with the understeer on their Skoda R5.
5 left bad mode, let's pick your line away through it. 60, 5 left over mode, stop 40 over mode, wide over 1 right onto clean, onto better like. Go on. Yeah, 100.
Sitting in 9th at the end of day 1 were Josh Moffat and John Rowan. They'd experienced a big moment in the morning, but thankfully it was a less dramatic afternoon for the pair. Completing the top 10 were Marty McCormack and Dave Moynihan. For his first time back in a car in 2 months, it had been a good day. Welshman Tom Cave had picked up a puncture on the morning tests, and the afternoon was to be a tough one, as the car had 2-wheel drive only from stage 6. They dropped to 23rd overall by the end of the day. In their Fiesta R5, Jamie Anderson and Ross Whittock were slipping and sliding with the best of them, completing day 1 13th. For Brendan Comiskey, there was a little moment as he ran wide on stage 4 and got stuck briefly. Brendan now lies 16th. Rally sponsor John Mulholland and co-driver Jeff Case were all about caution on the opening day. The tricky conditions meaning they just wanted to get through the day safely.
All the way down for me, 400, drive it now, go. Go on, 400, all the way down to it, 3 right, all the way down, you're going on further, 3 right here, 3 right now, 60 past the farm, into 4 right over finish, caution 4 right over finish, into 5 left.
Mulholland backed Paul Rowley and Patrick Brides were in 36th overall in their Skoda Super 2000. They'd had an off on the very first stage of the day, but were they feeling the pressure to get a good result here?
Yeah, well, John says bring it home, that's all I know, and he wanted that sticker on the window in a safe spot, so we're doing all right.
Time to look at the National Championship now, and taking the lead on stage 4 to hold it overnight were Alan Carmichael and Ivor Lamont. They had a 13-second advantage over Gary Jennings and Rory Kennedy. Brake issues through stage 4 hampered the pair. This spin on stage 5 was in the same spot as Fisher earlier. You can see how muddy and slippery conditions are. In third and dealing with the slippery conditions well were Chris Armstrong and Chris Melly. Niall Devine and Damien Duffin had been having a great run, setting a quick time over home stage Holly Hill. They would, though, eventually retire from the event. Ryan Loughran and James McCarville had been trading seconds with Devine before an accident ended their rally. Damage sustained to their escort at a previous event would mean that Wesley Patterson and Johnny Baird were also forced to retire. Eugene Megan and Sarah Whelan were running within the top 10 of the National on day 1. However, we would fail to see them compete across day 2. In the closely fought R2 category, championship leader Callum Devine was out in front with co-driver Keith Moriarty. They had a 13.7-second lead over Rob Duggan and Jer Conway, who were battling for the BRC Junior Championship title, and they were fully focused on that. Norwegian Sindre Furuseth completed the day third in class in his Renault Twingo. Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan lie in fourth, just a handful of seconds behind Furuseth. Like many drivers, Marty came from a karting background. He tells us how that helped him shape his career and how competitive the R2 category really is.
I started racing karts since I was 9 years of age. Raced on the rally and then when I was 17 and moved on forward then into an R2 car. Their R2 category keeps everybody close and equal. The cars are more or less identical. It's kind of more close racing than other classes like 11, 8 and stuff. Karting's a great way to start. It's good for getting the speed built up and learning characteristics of the karting car is all more or less the exact same. So.
In the Group N Championship, it could be a big weekend for David Guest, who could potentially claim the championship title here.
David, successful so far this morning?
Yeah, we had a good run for the first two. Conditions are tricky, but look, they're tricky for everyone. But we're very happy, yeah. Good times and all is good, so.
Pat Keeney and Alistair Wiley were back after missing Donegal. They experienced electrical issues on day one, but put up a tough fight in the challenging conditions. Brother Gus Keeney and Tommy Hayes had quite a moment on stage 3 and lost almost a minute. They recovered to complete day one here in Ulster.
We had a very big moment on the third stage, lost it in fourth gear over a crest, had a full spin up onto a ditch. Bit of a battle going on in the household today, so let's see what happens.
A fantastic battle in the Carney camp this weekend.
Yeah, look, we're going. We're trying to get a finish this weekend, so we're 3 months out of the car, so get the finish, get the points. That's the most important for us this weekend, so we're enjoying it.
Let's take a look now then at the historic championship. Andy Johnson and Jim McSherry lead the category in their Vauxhall Chevette. You can see just how bad the conditions are from this shot. Championship leader Frank Cunningham and Ross Ford were sitting in second, almost a minute back from Johnson. Richard Hall and Declan Campbell completed the historic top 3.
The Ulster Rally, it was going to be a competitive one.
Very competitive rally. Historics have just grown. I was Irish historic champion 7 years ago. Mark 1 BDA and came back out for a bit of fun with Sarah Cosworth. The pace has just upped and up and up, and I've turned the clock back 30 years, sold the Sierra, and I've moved into the little Lotus Sunbeam. Hitting the start ramp, Escort, Chevette, Sunbeam, real 80s. The 80s rock.
The 80s definitely do rock, Richard. Back to the top 6, and Drexel Gillespie and Jill Cotton are 4th in class. In the gorgeous sounding Porsche 911 are Anthony Robinson and Paul Wakely. They're 5th. With a second Porsche of Brendan Macquarie and Peter Deary in 6th. Let's take a look at the standings then at the end of a tough day one here at the John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally.
Day one at the Ulster Rally draws to a close, but it definitely was not without both changeable and challenging conditions. However, it's Alistair Fisher that remains on top for the Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. See you after the break. It's day 2 at the Ulster Rally and the drivers prepare to battle over 8 lengthy stages today. Although the weather conditions appear to be somewhat better than yesterday's start, no doubt the stage conditions are somewhat similar.
Welcome back to the second day of the John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally. After a challenging opening day, what will lie ahead for our competing crews today? Treacherous conditions greeted the crews on day 1, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a driver who didn't make a mistake on the technically tough stages. Elvin Evans is our leader as we head into the second day. He's hoping to seal the BRC title here and is in prime position to do that. Second place Keith Cronin is keen to take maximum points for his title fight in the Irish Tarmac Championship. A A consistent run on the opening day puts him in a good spot going into day 2. Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick found a strong natural pace early on and completed day 1 in 3rd position. Alistair Fisher had led during yesterday morning, but an afternoon puncture put pay to his fight at the front. In the lead of the National were Alan Carmichael and Ivor Lamont, their Mini WRC having a 30-second advantage over Chris Armstrong and Chris Melly. Gary Jennings, who was in 2nd position overnight in the National, will not restart on day 2. The action on the 2nd and final day is centred around 4 stages, all of which are run twice. The longest stage of the rally features today, Ruski. At almost 16 miles, it will mark the final stage of the day. We have a group of 3 stages run together, and getting the tyre choice right for that amount of miles will be tough, as the weather refuses to play ball. Leader Evans was quickest on all but one of the first 4 stages to extend his lead to 20 seconds. He seemed confident on the deceptively slippy stages. If he was feeling any pressure about securing the BRC title, he certainly wasn't showing it.
No, for sure, the rain's continued to fall. Where it's dirty, that's made it very difficult, but this stage in place has had good grip, but it's still tricky enough out there.
Definitely tricky enough. There seemed to be not one driver who didn't overshoot or slide wide somewhere during the morning. Keith Cronin was not trying to catch Elvin in front. His priority was Irish Tarmac Championship points, and he went for a safe tyre option for the loop of 3.
Keith, the conditions aren't getting any easier.
No, it's still very tough, but we seem to be able to. We're maintaining the speed without going crazy, so it's okay. I'm happy at this. I probably went with the safe tyre option for that loop. Mightn't have been the fastest tyre, but it was the safest.
Johnny Greer opted for the same choice as Cronin and continued his confident and consistent run to hold 3rd.
Johnny, has your success continued this morning?
Yeah, I've been happy enough. It's very tough, very difficult in there. It's slippy the whole way through the stage, and it's just really, really hard work, but so enjoyable. Like it's really good.
Alistair Fisher was making up for lost time after yesterday's puncture and was steadily climbing the leaderboard, now into 4th and a handful of seconds behind Greer.
Not sure how we got on in there, to be honest. Haven't seen the times, but it's a very busy stage, so that's good fun.
David Bogey had an eventful few stages with a few mistakes, reminding him that Irish tarmac takes a while to master. He was now in 5th. Josh Moffat and John Rowan were also on the climb up the leaderboard into 6th position, and with less drama than yesterday. Marty McCormack and Dave Moynihan were into 7th overall and getting every single bit of enjoyment out of the stages that they could. Listen closely to their chat when they complete the stage.
Press goes 2 left, opens to the grid to 1 left long, 100, 1 right, into Crest goes 1 left, Crest goes 1 left, 1 right, 30, 3 left to the dip, 30, flat 2 left, into flat Crest and 2 right, and Crest 100. Good man, good man. The whole weekend was worth that one. Whatever the comes out of it, I enjoyed it. Hey, whatever the whole weekend was worth that stage. I'd say if you the whole weekend was worth that grid.
It's very, very slippy up there, but that's an absolute beautiful stage up through there. We absolutely loved it. We had a bit of a slide on a flat 6 left-hander over a Celtic grid, so we cut that back and we absolutely enjoyed the whole stage. Absolutely loved it.
Rhys Yates and Tom Woodbury had been posting strong times through Friday and continued to do so on Saturday morning. They were now into 8th. For Joe McGonigal and Kieran Geeney, incorrect tyre choice hampered their charge on Friday. A cut slick was the option this morning and things were going well. 9th overall for Joe.
Really enjoyed that stage. Absolutely brilliant, you know. Definitely the best stage in the rally. One of the best in the country.
What was different about it?
I don't know. I enjoyed it anyway.
In their Fiesta R5, Matt Edwards and Will Rogers complete the top 10 after as many stages here in Ulster. After stage 9 was complete, Desi Henry called it a day, a steering issue meaning he could go no further. He was 7th overall at the time. Saturday was not such a good day for Sam Moffat. He went off the road on stage 8, smashing his front left rim and damaging his suspension. He eventually retired. Frederick Olin was in 6th position overall going into stage 10, but a late call on the notes put them into a field. They lost 15 minutes and fell to 42nd overall.
Frederick, it's obvious there was a little visit to the scenery. What happened?
We went off, so nothing more to discuss.
You're really not happy with that?
It was a small miscommunication in the car. So.
It's worth pointing out at this stage how tough a challenge this event is for co-drivers too. Busy notes on technical stages requiring pace-perfect delivery. Even the most experienced can make mistakes. Continuing to get through each stage safely with the odd moment thrown in were John Mulholland and Jeff Case. A round of applause for their efforts. They were 38th overall after stage 10.
After. Oh, you're okay. Small crest, 40. Hard to right, yeah, seems a slight left over bump, 60.
Paul Rowley and Patrick Brides were 24th in their Skoda Super 2000 and seemed to be dealing with the slippery conditions well. In the National, Alan Carmichael continued to hold his lead and was delighted to be out in front.
Okay, it's been a great run for you so far in this Ulster Rally.
Yeah, it's good. Now the guys are behind me who are trying to catch me, so yesterday I was behind everybody else, so I knew where I was at, but today I don't know where.
Chris Armstrong held second and was now a minute 30 back from the lead and was happy with his run so far.
Chris in a good position at the moment. That stage looks like it was hard work though.
That was a serious stage now, one of the best I've ever done. We got into a good form and we got halfway through it. The car in front of us went off, we had to slow down a bit, but other than that we're happy enough.
Camillus Bradley and Crawford Henderson lie in 3rd in the National. The Darien always gets a second glance on the stages. Holding 4th position with it were Ashley Field and Janice Moore. It's always good to see former TT champion Michael Dunlop compete. He and Rob Fagg were 22nd overall and leading their class. Oren Donnelly and Paul Hughes were just behind Dunlop by 15 seconds, 2nd in Class B6. Alistair Cochrane and Gary McElhinney rounded out the top 3 in Class B6.
40, right on crest, jump 200. Jump here. Good lad, 200. Jump at the 3s, into the dip, and crest, jump and dip here. What's the dip? 60 to short, 3 right. 60, 3 right. 60, and after.
Let's take a look at the championship-registered modified competitors. John Bonner and Leon Jordan were 4th in class. In the same class, B6, John Devlin and John McCarthy were 5th, just over 30 seconds back from Bonner. Championship leader Davey Armstrong and Martin McGarity were 4th in class in their Ford Escort. Scotsman Ross Marshall and Dave Robson were behind Armstrong by 16 seconds. In the R2 category, Callum Devine continued to hold and extend his lead after 10 stages. A 53-second advantage now over Rob Duggan and Jer Conway, whose sights were set on the BRC Junior title.
We have a good lead, so we don't want to do anything stupid. Got through there clean, time is okay-ish, a bit slower than Callum, but yeah, happy enough.
Yeah, it was a tough one. The last 2 stages it was a wee bit off, but I had a good run through that. It's long time, but hopefully I got enough time in that one.
Do you have any changes to make once you get into service?
Yeah, she's doing about a bottoming out, I'll probably raise her up maybe a wee touch, and harden her up, but other than that it should be okay.
Here's the confirmation of the results after stage 10. Evans in front for the International with Cronin the leading Irish Tarmac scorer.
As we approach the final leg in the Ulster Rally, the Cork man Keith Cronin has got tough competition to fight off in order to secure that podium place in the championship and bag maximum points. See you after the break.
Welcome back to the concluding stages of the John Mulholland Motors Ulster Rally. This event has proved a unique challenge to the drivers, with many citing it as the toughest they have competed on this season. As we approach the final 4 stages, Elvin Evans and Craig Parry hold the lead going into stage 11. Just 3 stages remain between them and BRC Championship glory, and the accolade of winning a particularly tough Ulster Rally. Cronin remained the leading Irish Tarmac Championship driver. He completed stage 11 just a few seconds slower than Evans, but rather worryingly, he was concerned about a knocking noise in the transmission. Alistair Fisher had been on a bit of a push to reclaim precious seconds lost yesterday. It was paying off. He was now in 3rd. Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick dropped back to 4th overall, 24 seconds ahead of David Bogey. Stage 11 saw a change in the National. Chris Armstrong took over the lead in his Mark II and was now ahead of Carmichael by 20 seconds. Carmichael arrived at the start of stage 11 minutes late, picking up a 1 minute 50 penalty. A cruel blow after what had been a great run. Back at service ahead of the final 3 stages, all eyes were on the mechanics working frantically to change Cronin's gearbox.
Well, Keith, it's obvious the pressure's on here with the old gearbox out.
Yeah, we'd heard a noise through the end of the last stage and ended up that the gearbox was in trouble, so we've changed it here. I don't think we're going to be out on time, so we're going to end up with penalties, but I don't know how much yet.
Alistair, as you know, Keith, Cronin is having problems. It could really play to your advantage here.
Well, we'll see. He has to lose 5 minutes late out of service there, but hopefully we can fight it out in the stages and we'll see how it goes.
Back over at DGN, the team had worked well on a complete gearbox change. Keith would leave service late, however, incurring a penalty of 1 minute 50, dropping him back to 5th overall. It's a bitter blow for the crew. As the rally reaches its conclusion, it's time now to look at the class winners. Will Corey and Brynmore Pierce guided their Toyota GT86 to the A3 class win. The Pocket Rocket R2s offered up a great spectacle all weekend. Will Crichton and Liam Regan take away 6th overall in their Peugeot 208. Putting local knowledge to the fore, Adam Bustard and Aaron Johnson finish in 5th. 4th in class goes to Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan. The big top 3 now in the R2s. Norwegian pair Sindre Furuseth and Jim Jeppe take 3rd. Rob Duggan and Jay Conway take 2nd and clinch the BRC Junior title. Well deserved from the highly competitive pair. But clinching yet another victory in the class are the super quick pairing of Callum Devine and Keith Moriarty.
The stages this weekend have been crazy difficult with the mud and stuff pulled out, and you just had to be on the limit the whole time, all the weekend, and over the moon.
In Class B1, Robert Riley Jr. and Eamon Conway take the win in their Honda Civic. 3rd in Class B2 after some turbo trouble during the weekend were Joe Gallagher and co-driver Mo Downey. Kevin McBride and Mark Donnelly took the honours for 2nd. With Paul Britton and George Tinsley taking the outright class win by over 6 minutes. The Ford Escort of Shane McLaughlin and Fiona Devlin took a dominant Class B3 win. The Citroën C2 R2 is always a welcome sight on the stages, guided to the B4 class win by Alan Smith and McCartan Kierans. The Ford Escorts have been dynamic to watch all weekend. Michael McDade and Dara Maguire steered theirs to the head of Class B5. The Mitsubishi Mirage R5 won its class with Robert Blomberg at the helm and Lars Anderson on the notes. In the junior category, Kevin Horgan took full advantage of his championship rivals Justin Ryan and Noel Murphy not attending and scooped maximum points. It will now be a 3-way fight for the title in Cork. historic category, it was Richard Hall and Declan Campbell who took third with their Lotus Sunbeam. Second position goes to championship leaders Frank Cunningham and Ross Ford. But taking the ultimate win despite their clutch failing on the final 2 stages were Andy Johnson and Jim McSherry. They now move into second in the series.
Well, clutch problems towards the end of the event, but it makes victory all the more sweeter to reach the podium. First place in the historics.
Well, it does indeed, yes. We really struggled over the last 2 sections. It was definitely tough through the night last night and some of those tighter stages. Today it opened up a bit, which was nice, you know. So.
In Group N, David Guest and Paddy Robinson wrapped up the title here in Ulster after a great display all season. They were focused on getting maximum points and sealing the deal. Great work in tough conditions.
OK, a hard year's work it was, but wow, it has all paid off this weekend on such a difficult event.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was kind of a tough one to come to. We needed to finish and get our maximum points, so that was our main target. But yeah, it wasn't a very enjoyable event because of that. But look, you know, I'm sure next week we'll look back and really enjoy what happened. So it was great.
In the National, Chris Armstrong had lost his lead to Carmichael on Barnes Gap, but failed to finish the final stage. Falling to second in the modified championship standings is Davy Armstrong. With dropped scores, he now trails Ross Marshall and Dave Robson by 4 points. It's all to play for at the last round in Cork. Marshall finishes ahead of Armstrong here. It will certainly be a tight fight between them. Taking 8th in the National are John Devlin and John McCarthy. 7th overall goes to Paul Britton and George Tinsley. John Bonner and Leon Jordan take maximum championship points in 6th and give themselves the outside chance of the title in Cork.
A difficult event, but to bring home maximum points for the championship, I'm sure you're delighted.
Yeah, exactly. That was the aim, you know, and it worked out well in the end, but it was just a very difficult event.
The National top 5 is headed by Alistair Cochrane and Gary McElhinney. Oren Donnelly and Paul Hughes take 4th. Michael Dunlop and Rob Fagg find the 3rd step of the podium in the National. Sealing 2nd at a demanding Ulster rally are Camillus Bradley and Crawford Henderson. And taking the outright win after losing, then regaining the lead on the final stages were Alan Carmichael and Ivor Lamont. The final 3 stages were well underway for our international contenders. They'd faced huge challenges this weekend, but now the end was in sight. For Tom Cave and James Morgan, a puncture and just 2-wheel drive on the opening day dropped them down the standings, but they made it up to 10th. The Skoda Super 2000 of Joe McGonigal and Kieran Geeney took away 9th. Showing their potential, Rhys Yates and Tom Woodbury walk away with a solid 8th position. An opening day scare for Josh Moffat and John Rowan, where they thought it was game over, is all forgotten now that they come home in 7th. They did, however, have a few exhaust issues on the final stages. The top finishing Super 2000 is Marty McCormack and Dave Moynihan. They made the most out of the tricky conditions and take 6th.
2 right, 40, 3 right, into 6 left, 6 left. 30, 3 right tightens, and flat crest, 30. 2 left, very long, between 2 left, very long, 5 left long, 1 inside. Into 3 right long, opens to 1 right long, good man, opens to 1 right long.
Disappointment in the final section of the rally for Keith Cronin, late out of service after a full gearbox change, which dropped him down the leaderboard to finish in 5th. He's now 2nd in the championship. David Bogey and James O'Reilly had a strong showing in their Skoda R5 and bagged 4th overall. The top 3 is kicked off by Johnny Greer and Kirsty Riddick, with a well-deserved 3rd place. A confident and consistent weekend for the pair. Taking 2nd overall and maximum championship points are Alistair Fisher and Gordon Noble. They lead the championship heading to the final round showdown in Cork. But taking the ultimate victory and becoming the British Rally champion 20 years after Father Gwyndaf achieved the same accolade is Elfyn Evans.
Well, it certainly was a challenging weekend, but it makes the victory all the more sweeter.
Yeah, for sure, it was a tough one this. Difficult weather conditions, and the boys pushed hard as well, so yeah, it's nice to get the win at the end.
Second overall, Alex Fisher and Jordan Noble.
Bagging maximum points, it makes the finale so exciting to look forward to.
It certainly sets Cork up very well. Winner takes all, and it's going to be a big event. Thankfully, we've had a good result here. I knew we needed to try and stay in front of Keith here. I know obviously he had his problems this afternoon, but we had our pumped yesterday. But we're very pleased with the result.
Johnny, we know it was a challenging event this weekend, but almost a flawless drive by you.
Yeah, we're very happy with everything that happened this weekend. We reckoned it was going to be wet, so we tried to set the car up to suit the wet conditions, and it paid off for us, so very happy.
Confirmation of the result and the fact that we will have a great finale to the season. The advantage may be with Fisher points-wise, but he hasn't competed in Cork for 6 years, and we are very much in the home territory of Keith Cronin. It's winner takes all. What a finish to the season.
So it's the Welshman Elfyn Evans that takes the win here in Ulster, but Alistair Fisher has bagged maximum points in the championship, and if the final round in Cork is anyway as exciting as this rally has been, we are in for a nail-biting finale in the Irish Tarmac Rally Championship. See you in Cork.